My name is Michelle Brown. I am 29 years old, and I manage a cleaning company to some people. This line of work might seem unglamorous dirty work, as they like to call it. Even my own family tends to look at it that way. But still, I'm proud of what I do. My business, Clean Life, began as a tiny one-woman operation 7 years ago. What started with me scrubbing floors on my own has now grown into a mid-sized enterprise employing 50 staff members, generating over $3 million in yearly revenue. And yet, in my family's eyes, I remained nothing more than the janitor. No one made me feel this more than my younger brother. Kevin is 21 now, studying medicine at a prestigious private state university. His tuition alone is $60,000 annually. For the past 3 years, I've been covering everything his student loans didn't, because our parents simply couldn't, and because I wanted to support his dream. The dream I had watched form since childhood. Sometimes I catch myself drifting back to those old memories. I still remember the day I met him for the first time. I was 8 years old, waiting in the hospital corridor when a nurse placed my newborn brother into my arms. "Michelle, this is your baby brother, Kevin," my mother whispered, guiding me gently as my small hands trembled around his tiny body. The warmth of that moment has stayed inside my palms for decades. "Help us take good care of Kevin, sweetheart. You're his big sister now," my father added, unknowingly planting a sense of responsibility inside me that would influence the rest of my life. Both of our parents worked hard, my father in a small factory, my mother part-time at a grocery store. We were never wealthy, but they tried their best to make sure we never felt the weight of financial hardship. From elementary school onward, I became Kevin's after-school caretaker. I fetched him from daycare, helped him with homework, made snacks, and soothed him when he cried. We bickered now and then, as siblings do. But there was always affection beneath it. His dream of becoming a doctor started. One bitterly cold winter when he was in second grade, he'd caught what we thought was a common cold, but his breathing suddenly turned harsh and shallow. "Michelle, it's hard to breathe," he whispered that night. We rushed him to the ER past midnight. Kevin, pale and trembling, was whisked away with an oxygen mask strapped to his face. He was diagnosed with severe pneumonia and hospitalized immediately. Our parents couldn't afford to miss work. So I, then a high school student, skipped classes to stay by his side. I sat beside him every night, whispering, "Don't worry, I'm right here." Kevin lay in a 4-bed room by the window, drifting in and out of sleep as his fever spiked. I wiped his sweat, changed the ice pillow, and held his hand through the nights. An elderly woman in the same room told a nurse, "This girl really takes good care of her brother." I remember hearing that and feeling strangely proud. On the third day, Dr. Anderson, a gentle middle-aged physician with a calm smile, checked on Kevin. "You're doing well. You'll get better soon," he said softly. Kevin nodded, mesmerized. "He looks so kind and so reliable," Kevin murmured after he left. One night, little girl in the same room suffered a sudden seizure. Dr. Anderson ran in, responding with swift, practiced movements. Kevin watched, wide-eyed. "Amazing," he whispered, admiration shining through his exhaustion. A week later, the day Kevin was discharged, he approached Dr. Anderson shyly. "Dr. Anderson, someday I want to become a doctor like you." The doctor smiled. "Then study hard and always be kind." "I will, and I'll learn from my sister too," Kevin said earnestly, as we walked out of the hospital. He looked back at the ward. "Michelle, I promise I'll become a doctor and help people." That was the moment his dream truly took shape. Afterward, I began taking on small cleaning jobs to help the household and save for my own education. At first, I felt embarrassed, but soon I realized cleaning demanded skill, patience, and invisible hard work. My very first job was at a small clinic. At dawn, I polished floors, wiped windows, and scrubbed restrooms. One day, the clinic director said, "Thanks to you, Ms. Brown, our patients can receive their treatments comfortably." Simple sentence, but it changed the way I viewed my work. Another client once told me, "The place feels brand new after you finish cleaning." That was a compliment I stored deep in my heart. After high school, I joined a large building maintenance company. I learned techniques, management, and how essential cleaning is to people's daily lives. In my second year, was entrusted with a massive commercial facility supervising over 100 staff. I worked from 4 a.m. until long after closing, sometimes covering both morning and night shifts. The exhaustion was relentless. But it strengthened me working with so many different kinds of employees, elderly workers. Housewives, young part-timers opened my eyes to their struggles. Many elderly staff members quit because the workload was too heavy. Mothers struggled with scheduling. I began to dream of creating a better workplace, one where people could work without sacrificing their health or families. Encouraged by coworkers who praised my diligence, I started studying business management. I devoured articles, attended weekend seminars, and gradually shaped the idea of launching my own business. Meanwhile, Kevin soared academically, always ranking at the top of his class. Our family couldn't afford tutoring, so he studied obsessively, arriving early to school, staying late in the library, and spending weekends at the state library. "Kevin, you'll make a wonderful doctor one day," my mother often said, though her voice carried a quiet sadness, knowing we didn't have money for extras. When Kevin applied to a slightly higher-level high school, I refused to let him worry. "I'll support you. Don't think about anything else," I assured him. I bought his reference books with my own wages and slipped him snacks during stressful nights. On the eve of his entrance exam, he trembled with anxiety. "Michelle, what if I fail?" "You've done more than enough, Kevin. It will be okay." The joy of finding his exam number on the acceptance list is something I'll never forget. He hugged me tightly, tears streaming. "It's all because of you, Michelle." "Thank you." At 25, I finally resigned from my job and started my own company. I had saved $330,000 every cent earned. Painfully over years of part-time and full-time work, I visited bank after bank with my business plan. Every one of them dismissed me. The cleaning industry has no entry barrier. Too much competition. A woman starting a business. Risky. Those words nearly broke me. Nearly, but not quite. My first real contract came from an old acquaintance. Routine cleaning at an elementary school. The pay was low, but it marked the birth of my company, Miss Brown. "Your careful cleaning really helps us." Those words from the vice principal led to my next job, office cleaning for the PTA, its president's company. I worked around the clock. Days on site, nights doing accounts and sales. No breaks, no holidays. But it was fulfilling in a way I can't describe. One late night, while cleaning an office, a young employee staying overtime approached me. "Miss Brown, isn't it exhausting to work this late every day?" "No," I replied with a smile. "I'm grateful to be useful to someone." That small exchange led to yet another contract. His company soon hired me as well. Gradually, I hired more staff and my company began thriving. Then one afternoon, a phone call changed everything. "Michelle, I got into medical school." Kevin's voice trembled with excitement. I dropped everything and rushed to the university. When we found his name among the accepted students, we hugged and cried together. But when we told our parents, their expressions fell. "Medical school tuition is over $50,000 a year." My mother whispered, "We can't afford that. I'll pay for it," I said immediately. Even I was startled by how quickly the words left my mouth. My business was doing well, but paying such a massive amount every year wouldn't be easy. "That's too much for you." "Michelle," my father said gently, "it's all right. I want Kevin to have this chance." Kevin burst into tears. "Michelle, I swear I'll repay everything. I'll make you proud." His words fueled me. I pushed myself harder, taking on more work, negotiating contracts, and personally handling on-site tasks to save labor costs as one of my employees watched me working tirelessly approached. "You're pushing yourself too hard. Let us help with what we can." It took his words to heart and began logating. More tasks gradually. Company steadily grew and the number of employees increased. However, in exchange, I drastically cut back on My personal life, I refrained from buying new clothes and worked even on holiday. See it whenever I saw Kevin driving in medical school, all my fatigue seemed to vanish. However, Kevin's acceptance into medical school gradually changed Orprints. The first sign of change was at a family memorial service. Our Kevin has been accepted into medical school. Mimither proudly told each relative, with each telling she received praises like impressive, and how commendable, and her face lit up with pride when an on-tasked is Michelle still in the cleaning business. My mother's face clouded over slightly, and she answered vaguely, well, he's my father also. Changed, he began, sobering up Kevin at his weekly chess gatherings. My son says he's going to be a neurosurgeon. Ah, your son is really something. Else the accolades from his peers seemed to inflate his ego gradually. One evening during dinner, while I was discussing a new contract at work, my father interjected, Michelle, how long do you plan to keep doing that kindoff job? My mother chimed in, right, Kevin's classmate might introduce him to a medical office job. It's much better. Thank cleaning. Me heart froze at my mother's dismissive reference to my job is just cleaning. As Kevin's performance in medical school Beckham, known for its excellence, Orprints' attitudes escalated further. They began to boast to our neighbors and AF hospital during his internships. Urson is so well regarded by the doctors might stay on at the university hospital. My mother's voice would rise with each story during the end of year cleaning, as I tried to teach some professional cleaning tips. My mother looked at me with a hesitant expression. Michelle, it seems this kind of job suits you. My father even began planning his retirement, banking on Kevin's future success. Once Kevin becomes a doctor, we won't have to worry about our old age working at a big hospital. He'll easily make over $200 a year. His speculated conversations at home gradually revolved solely around Kevin. I felt as if my existence was fading into the background at family gatherings. Me mother started avoiding topics about me work. Michelle as well, she's managing, she would say quickly, followed by but Kevin. One day at a neighborhood Christmas party, a decisive moment came. Your son is in medical school. That's really impressive. A neighbor commented. Me mother responded, proud lies perhaps. It's a result of our upbringing. We've inspired him to pursue a dream in healthcare. I was shocked by her expression at that moment. It seemed me daily efforts to pay his tuition had been erased from my parents' memory. My decision to leave home stemmed from those experience. Keeping a reasonable distance, I managed to maintain a relationship with my family. However, a significant event soon shattered our family dynamic. It began in the autumn of Kevin's senior year in medical school. Kevin started dating a fellow medical student, Tiffany. They met during an internship at the university hospital. She was talented and beloved by everyone. Kevin was instantly smitten. Tiffany, Ized's only daughter of a family that runs in of the top general hospitals in New York. Kevin's voice over the phone held a note of pride. It turned out her father was the director of a general hospital. Thoughts amazing, but I'd like to know more about her. Can you introduce me some, Atima? Yeah, sure, but it's exam period now, some maybe later. This exchange was repeat many times, even after a year of dating. I had yet to meet Tiffany at first. I didn't mind medical school is busy, and I was busy with work too, but a sense of discomfort lingered. One day on my way home from work, I accidentally saw Kevin and Tiffany in front of a high-end restaurant, chatting happily. Just as I was about to call out to them, I saw Kevin's expression darken. He hurriedly yard Tiffany inside the restaurant, trading not to notice me at that moment. I couldn't understand why my brother was avoiding me. Then that call came. Michelle, about this your Christmas party. My mother's voice carried an unusual weight. Maybe it's better if you don't come this year. I was taken aback for a moment, doubting what Ed just heard. Our family's Christmas party was a never-interrupted tradition, one I had always attended no matter how busy I was. Even when I started my company, ordering delicate times in our family relations. Since my childhood, this party has been a cherished memory filled with my mother's homemade Cakes my father dressed as Santa Claus and exchanging handmade gifts with Kevin. It was a precious time to affirm our family bonds. What do you mean? Well, Kevin, as bringing Tiffany and her parents will be coming to my mother's words, we're hesitant, as if hiding something thought men brought back memories of the past night. I stayed up caring for Kevin Wan. He had a fever in elementary school in the days. I encouraged him during his middle school entrance exams, though summaries now felt like a distant past truth came directly from Tiffany herself. In fact, I had already met her a few months back. It was a fateful encounter. On the day of a cleaning service bid at the General Hospital, after finishing a presentation with her contractors, I was checking documents for the next project in the hallway when a hurried woman nearly bumped into me. "Ooh. I'm sorry," said the young woman in a lab coat, apologizing deeply, while thinking she looked familiar. I glanced at her name tag, E-Tread Tiffany Owen, realizing she was Kevin's girlfriend. I couldn't help but speak up. "Are you Kevin's?" She looked surprised. "Yes, but I'm Michelle, Kevin's sister." Tiffany appeared momentarily appalled, but quickly smiled warmly. "Oh, I've heard a lot about you from Kevin, but he never showed me a photo." Our conversation naturally flowed, and before I knew it, we were deeply engaged. In discussion, Tiffany was an intelligent and kind woman. I could see why Kevin was smitten. "Could we keep this between us?" Tiffany suggested. "I think it would surprise him. He would be surprised when we've become good friends." I thought it sounded fun and agreed to keep our meeting a secret over. Looking back, perhaps Tiffany wanted to keep it secret out of consideration for me. We occasionally met for coffee after that. Then the day after me mother called about the Christmas party. Tiffany contacted me. "Michelle Athier something? I need to talk to Yao about her voice." Trembling, we met at a Rougeau cafe. Her eyes red as if she had been crying. "Michelle, I can't stand it anymore," she said, her voice shaking. "A booth Christmas party. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think you have the right." "Oh no." Tiffany took a deep breath and began to speak. She had excited tally veered a conversation between Kevin and my mother. She heard them saying Tiffany's family shouldn't find out Thatha's sister is a janitor. That phrase struck me like a sharp blade. If they find out about Michelle being a janitor, Tiffany's parents might not accept a relationship, and it could even affect my future career prospects. I felt as if my 24 years bond with my brother crumbled in an instant. Kevin had prophesied excluding me from family gatherings, seeing me as an obstacle to his future. When I heard these words, somewhat quietly, but surely broke inside me. More shocking was my parents' reaction. "Don't worry. Michelle will understand. Consider your future. The world of medicine is really special." They seemed to sympathize with Kevin's reasoning, as if me feelings as a daughter were less important than maintaining a social fad for my brother. Since childhood, I had lived with the phrase Becca's "You're the big sister," and sacrificing for my brother had semi-natural, but now that natural felt profoundly unstable. Tiffany continued, "Actually, I've kept it a secret from Kevin for a long time, but my mother has been a janitor at a hospital for over 20 years. She met my father there and they married, but she continued to work even after marriage. She worked with tears welled up in her eyes. Isa's Cha spoke. My mother always said cleaning is an important job that protects people's lives." Deep gratitude for her mother shone in Tiffany's eyes. I pretended I didn't hear their conversation and said, "The Christmas party, I'd like to meet your sister." Then Kevin, he called that cleaning job embarrassing and referred to you as just a janitor. Tiffany's tears spilled over as she spoke. "I can't believe them anymore. They're people who think of my mother's job in such a way," Tiffany said as she looked down, trembling. That night, I stayed late at the office, lost in thought. In front of me computer, displayed on the monitor, waste payment history for Kevin's tuition fees, amounting to over $100. Zero over 4 years. I had covered us day-to-day expenses and the shortfall in his tuition by taking out loans on top of my own contributions. Was the crystallization of my sweat and tears. The nightscape visible framed office window seemed lonelier than usual. A janitor's sister, the phrase echoed in my mind like a haunting refrain. I am proud of my job. I support people's lives and maintain the environment is by no means a job Tobe, ashamed of in days of sleeplessness, filed with anger, came followed with sadness. The next day I received a brief message from Tiffany. Cannot be with Simeon who dismisses my mother's life like that? Michelle, thank you for everything perhaps. Deep down I had sensed this outcome, but I hadn't expected it to come so soon that night. It made a difficult decision. I stopped paying Kevin's tuition fees. A few days later, a notice of unpaid tuition arrived. The university for Kevin confused and angry calls came from both my Kevin, what is this? Didn't you promise to pay for the tuition fees? Mimritha's voice was frantic. Michelle Wathapond, Kevin's future depends on this, me mother cried, and my father yelled at AMT. But my resolve was firm. If having a janitor for a sister is embarrassing, Thon, you don't need assistance from me. I responded calmly, let Kevin find his own path. It will surely be a good experience for him. Kevin, in a panic, called me. Michelle, please pay the tuition fee. Why? Asked calmly, am I not just a shameful janitor? That's not it. I was wrong. I'm sorry, Kevin, I said quietly. You were ashamed of my job, of my existence, yet too. Still want to accept my money? Orpran's called every relative, but no one offered to help Kevin. Ever since Kevin had entered medical school, our parents' shoddy attitude had exhausted our relatives' patience. Eventually, Kevin decided to apply for a scholarship and started a part-time job. A month later, Kevin visited my workplace. He had lost a lot of weight. Michelle, I'm truly sorry, said, apologizing deeply. I've applied for a scholarship and started a part-time jobium. It's going to continue my studies on my own. His voice lacked its former arrogance. The situation with Tiffany made me realize. She told me how important and honorable cleaning work is. So wonderful. The job you do is someone you doesn't understand that shouldn't be doctor. I listened silently to his words. Your company, it's really impressive. I didn't realize it before him. Truly sorry, and entering medical school made me think I was better. Thanathers, his eyes surveyed my ephysis. Nothing to be ashamed of any more, Arthur. I'm proud seeing the smiles oft people working at your company, madame. Understand, he said. I spoke after a moment's thought. From now on you stand on your own, but if you're really in trouble, you can come to me. Kevin nodded, tears in his eyes. Thank you, but I'll try to do it on my own as much as I can. I think that's how I can apologize to. Humans passed, and Kevin truly changed. He worked part-time at a local clinic on weekends and as a tutor on weekday evenings. Kevin began to visit Mesto, talk about his experiences in medical school and his future dreams. I want to pun a clinic in the community in Thefachor, not one for the wealthy, but a place where everyone can feel secure. High size no longer held vanity or pretense. A firm resolve from time to time. Mimeither called. Michelle, I'm really sorry for trampling over your feelings. Her voice laden with deep regret. My father sent a letter. Michelle, my daughter, I am proud of your strength. We were wrong. I few can forgive us. Let's be a family again. I've put off responding. I need time. But I believe that one day we can come together as a family again. A year later, Kevin started an internship at a local clinic, which, incidentally, me company was contracted to clean. Dr. Kavanri Lee understands the patient feelings. A nurse commented one day. Kevin chatted amiably with the janitors and became a doctor who empathized with his passions, sang Sheeties. Now our sibling bonds might be stronger than before, not based on ideals or pretenses, but on a reality. Or winder stand each other, and Kevin came town to stand the true value of cleaning work. It's not just cleaning, it's a job thought proudly supports people's health and peace of mind.